Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Jared, and today we are going to start the ultimate network security project. This lab has 2 internet service providers, 2 external routers, 2 external switches. We have got a firewall cluster. In the inside part of our network, we have got our core segment, which has got 2 Cisco switches. We have got 2 access layer switches. We've got a bunch of different servers. We have Zabbix, we've got Wazoo, Kali, we have a Windows 2022 domain controller. This is going to be a really fun lab to build. We're going to build the entire thing from scratch, and it's going to be fun. Okay, right. I'm excited to start this lab. I've spent 6 months playing around with this thing. I have built it 4 or 5 times, and finally I get to make these videos and actually go through the entire lab build. So this is something you would generally see in an enterprise business. As you can see, there is pretty much redundant infrastructure the whole way across. So we've got 2 external internet service providers. They are connected to 2 Cisco routers, and then they are also connected to 2 external switches. This is just a bit of redundancy at the external edge of the network, and it just allows any external traffic coming out of those firewalls just to have a path out to the internet. Looking at the inside part of the network, I have 2 Cisco core switches connected to 2 access layer switches, and then we have a number of these services. Zabbix and Wazoo are 2 tools that we will set up. They will monitor our entire environment. We're going to use Kali Linux just as a management machine. It's just the easiest thing and quickest thing to build. We have a Windows server here, and we'll put on Active Directory there. We might do some additional configs with this towards the end of the lab. Generally, if you're working on these types of projects in the real world, you would have a very high level design similar to this, but you would also create a low level design which gives you all of the interface names and the IP address ranges and stuff. So I've also created that. If we take a very quick look at this design, you can see from the outside, this is this external part of the network. You can see we have our internet connections coming into our routers, and as you can see, we're going to use some of these IP addressing. We're going to configure HSRP. That allows us to configure a virtual IP. We'll use that for all of our static routing. On the inside of these routers, we have VLAN 100. This is a VLAN that will exist between router 1 and firewall 1. On the firewall itself, we will have multiple different networks. We will have VLAN 100, 200, we have VLAN 99 for the DMZ. There's a lot of different configurations that has to go on in this firewall. We will have our lag connections coming from the firewall connecting to our core. These are like port channels. These are multiple connections that we'll bundle together just for additional speed. From the core itself, we will have some VLANs configured on the core. We have a VLAN 300. As you can see, this exists on the inside part of the core. All of the other stuff like our servers and other devices will be connected to the access layer switches. So that's a very high level and low level overview of the lab that we're going to build. We're going to go step by step so we can build this entire thing together. So before we actually get into the build, let's review where I'm going to build this and all of the different platforms and stuff that you will need if you want to follow along with this build. I'm using the same Lenovo server that I used for the Ultimate Cybersecurity Lab project. It's a Lenovo server. It has got 6 terabytes of storage and 256 gig of RAM, so it's perfect for labs like this. And because this lab has a number of network components like lots of Cisco switches and routers and firewalls and different servers and things running, the best place to build a lab like this will be within a network emulation tool. For this lab, there's really 2 choices you could use. You could use GNS3 or EVE-NG. What I've done is I've built everything on EVE-NG. So I've built an EVE-NG VM, and that is hosted on Proxmox. Now, if you're brand new to Proxmox, EVE-NG, or you don't know how to do any of this, then I've got you covered. I created a video last year on how I built my Proxmox server from scratch. I'm going to link the video here. That's the video you need to watch. That's the one that's going to take you through all of the different steps to build Proxmox on a server. Once you've done that, I've also created another video that shows you how to build the EVE-NG Community Edition on Proxmox. So that is another video that you can follow, which is going to be here. Now, if you don't have anywhere to build EVE-NG on premises like on a lab, then you can build EVE-NG in Google Cloud. I'm going to link this video here. This is the video that will take you through all of the different steps that you need to do that. So we've talked about the server, we have talked about EVE-NG, and now I want to talk about the different resources that you would probably need if you want to build EVE-NG and do this lab. I have created this very handy document which gives you an outline of the category, the device name, the various vCPUs that you will need, the RAM that you will need for each of these devices. I've also linked all of the EVE-NG documentation so you can see those, where you can go to EVE-NG website and help you build those images within EVE-NG. I've also created a section here for the folder name and also this download file name. Now, one of the biggest problems with building networks on EVE-NG and GNS3 is it is quite hard to find the images that you need. If you look back at this document, you will see at the bottom here, I have listed links to some of the images where I can. And I've also highlighted some of these in green. These are all of the images that are very easy to get, and there's links for those. The only problem you might face with this lab is finding the Cisco images. And to be honest, if you go to Google and you search for these, you'll probably end up finding them. To make that really easy for you, I've included the file name, so you could just go to Google and search that file name and you would probably find the images that you need. But I'll make this document available. I'll share that in the link in the description below. That way you can see this and you can come in, you can copy these names. You have these links to all of the other images. It basically tells you where to get them and how to install them. And you have these links here. These are the links here to the EVE-NG documentation that you will need to follow when you want to build like a Linux server or when you want to build a Cisco switch within EVE-NG. It is pretty simple to do. So now that we've briefly covered the high level and low level design, we've talked about Proxmox and EVE-NG. The next thing we can do is review the EVE-NG setup that I have on my Proxmox server. The VM that I have built is EVE-NG Community Edition and I'm running version 6.2.04. As you can see on this server, I've given it 128 gig of RAM. I've got 32 vCPUs. The server itself has 800 gig of storage. I would suggest that if you are going to do this, you probably will need similar amount of storage. I've also added 2 network cards to this particular VM. They are both connected just directly to my home network in VMBR0. So that is EVE-NG. Let's get logged into EVE-NG where we can actually start creating the lab. So within EVE-NG, let's get started and create our project. So click up here to add a brand new project. I'm just going to give mine a name, Ultimate Network Security Project. Click on Save. This is going to open up your project window. Now, before we start dragging items out here, let's go back to the low level design and review what we need. So back over here, let's have a look. So we are working on the external network, so this part of the network here. So as you can see, we need 6 items. We need 2 ISPs, 2 routers, and we also need 2 external switches. At this stage, we are also going to drag out this Kali Linux management machine. We're going to use that so we can test the outbound internet from the lab. So let's go back to EVE-NG and get started. So let's drag out the ISPs that we need. So right click and click on Add Network. We're going to call this ISP01. We're going to drop this down to Management Cloud 0. Technically, this should just do pass through. This should allow you to get connected to your home network. And let's do that exact same process again. ISP02, and we're going to put that in Management Cloud 0 and click on Save. I'm going to line these up and just move them over here. Good. Okay, so let's get our routers added. So right click on Add Node. Now you should have these available. So if you go down, you should see the Cisco router, this one. We're going to leave this as default. I'm just going to add one for now. I'm going to change the name here. I'm going to call this router 1. Oh my god, what's happening? Router 01. Leave it as default. 1 vCPU, 1 gig of RAM, and console is set to telnet. Just click on Save. And then we're going to do the same again. Let's go down to Cisco router. I'm going to give this a name, router 02, and again leave everything as default. I'm going to line that up over here. And let's go and add our switches. So go down here and look for, you can actually just type it in. I don't know why I'm scrolling, but you can type it in as well. So Cisco switch, and we're just going to do, we want 2 of those, and let's just click on Save. We will come back and rename these in a few minutes. I'm going to line them up perfectly like that. The last thing we need to do here is just to add our Kali Linux machine. So search for Linux. I have a few images on my EVE-NG server, so I'm going to make sure and choose the Kali Linux image. Let's click on that one. I'm going to leave all as default and click on Save. Now, what we want to do before we connect everything up, let's just get this Kali Linux machine connected to the ISPs and just make sure the internet is working. So we're going to grab this one, going to get this connected, click on save, and then I am going to right click on this and click on start. So you should see what's happening along the right hand side. You can see this has started. Once that has started, all you have to do is click on it and it should open up the EVNG client, which just basically uses VNC to connect to that. So click on that, click on continue, and it should open up for you. Perfect. Now the default credentials for these machines, they're all in the EVNG documentation, but I know this one, the username is root and the password is TOOR, which is just root backwards. So let that get logged in, give it a second. Let's just do IPA and see what we have. So as you can see, this one here, it is getting an IP address on my home lab network, which is good. That means that whenever we connect all of these devices up, we are going to get IP addressing on the routers. So it's perfect, exactly what we need. So we can just close out of this now. Now, the last thing that we will do in this episode is we're going to get everything connected. So let's just go back to our low level design and review what we need. So if I zoom in here, you can see that router 1 and router 2, they have all of these interface IDs beside them. We're going to connect everything up based on this. Our ISPs are connected to gig 03. We have gig 0, which is connected to the external switches, which is fine. Okay, so let's go back to EVNG. And what we're going to do is we're going to just grab this cable. We're going to attach that to router 1. We're going to put that in gig 03, hit save. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. Gig 03. Then we're going to go up here, we're going to grab this cable and we're going to move this to this one, and that's going from gig 0 to gig 0, and click on save. And then this one is going from here to here. This is going to be 0 to 0, which is perfect. And then the last one, which is between the two switches, so that is going to be on gig 02, so this one, and also on this one, and hit on save. So this video is probably going to be long enough as it is because we reviewed the entire design. The next video we will go through, we will get all of these routers configured, the external switches configured, and we'll get started with the firewall builds. So hope you enjoyed the very first episode of this Ultimate Network Security Lab project. Today we spent a bit of time going through the high level design and the low level design, and we got started with creating the lab and dragging out some of those items that we need. Going forward, we'll have a number of different episodes where we will build out all of the different segments in the lab. The next couple of segments, especially the firewall segment, will probably be quite a long video because there's a lot involved, and I want to try and capture all of those configurations for those devices in single videos. That way it's just easier to understand. So if you want to keep up to date with how this entire project is going, then consider subscribing. It really does help the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.